Welcome back everybody to another brand new video, and today we are working on a car that is proper nice. Every time I see one I always think of this song. That's right, let's go and have a look at it. Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift is one of my favourites, believe it or not. Everybody hates it, well, apart from Fast and Furious 1, which is the all-time greatest. It's about cars. They don't do stupid stuff like go into space. Awesome film, watch it every Christmas. What have we got today then? We got a 2006 Mitsubishi Evo 9 FQ320. Now what does that 320 mean? Absolutely nothing in the case of this one, because it's 552 horsepower, 470 foot-pounds of torque. So this thing won't drift out the back. You do all four-wheel power slides in clouds of smoke. Awesome. It's a 2-litre long rod, bigger turbo, link ECU, all the internals have been done with anti-lag. Nice. We're going to do some extended road tests with this thing, I think. As always, Dream Car Giveaways own this car. So I've got a list of jobs to do, and pretty much as soon as I give them back, it's going to go online on their competition site. Just gives you a lot of chance to win it. So without further ado, let's get it on the ramp, get stuck into our first job, shall we? Let's go. So it's on the ramp. That took ages. It's got super duper carbon side skirts on it, probably worth more in my house, I expect. So I have to be super careful with them. Right, the first one on the list is the brakes. So when Dream Car Giveaways were dropping this over, they said you get to about 60 mile an hour, touch the brakes, steering wheel shaking, the whole car's shaking. It's got Brembo brakes on it, all round, massive discs. They're going to be expensive, so we need to check. More than likely it's just the fronts, but we need to check the backs as well. So let's get it up in the air, get it on the ramp, get them wheels off. Let's go. So looking at the discs, they're not that worn. I think they call these J-cut discs. It's J the other side, this is reverse, so it's C. Just helps grip the pad when you're braking. Makes a bit of noise, unfortunately, when you do slam on the brakes. It's like, but yeah, it does. Every little helps, I suppose. So looking at them, it's going to be hard to see physically that these are warped. It's four-wheel drive, so it's quite hard to turn the disc and view it at the same time. So what I usually do is I've got a little DTI gauge. Each 10, 20, 30, each one is 1 mil. I'll pop that up and then get it onto the disc. So it's set at 0, and then basically I'm just turning the disc like this and looking at that. I've got the wheel nuts in, so the disc is going to be dead flat on the hub, and yeah, let's do some fast motion and see what it reads. So looking at it, the fronts are between 1 and 1.5 mil, high spots on them, but the back, especially this side, it's like 2.5 mil. All of a sudden it's fine, and then it pops out 2.5 mil, goes back in, which is quite a lot really. Definitely needs rears. The fronts are out as well. Might as well do them all. It's a very expensive car, and the brakes are definitely, you know, needed. So I'll get some of these ordered. It's probably going to take a few days, so we'll get cracking on with the next thing on the list, which is the AYC leak. So AYC, or active yaw control. So yaw is a word that posh people use. It basically means lean into us common folk. A brief, real rough explanation. Say you've got a rear-wheel drive car, open diff, normal standard diff. You're going flat out round a left-hand bend, all the weight shifts to the right. A normal diff will just put all its power down the easiest route. So that left-hand rear wheel that's off the ground probably does a little burnout, you get no push out the corner. Next up, you get a limited slip diff, which puts power evenly to both wheels, which is awesome. It just cures that original problem. Mitsubishi go one step further, and their diff can actually put more power to the left or the right, so it's switchable. So really that weighted wheel gets most of the power, and it gives you that extra super push out the corner. It's such a cool design. I think they only did it on the Evos 4 onwards in the UK, but it's controlled hydraulically. See where the 2 pipes enter this diff, and it comes up here to this pump, and as you can see, the pump is hammering out your juice and it's all over my floor. So that's not good. I mean, it's left a big puddle already. It's only been on the ramp 2 hours. So I've never done one of these pumps before. There's always a first for everything. So we'll get all these covers off and let's have a look what we're dealing with, shall we? Let's go. Okay, I've got the AYC pump down, a couple of bolts, and it just comes off, which is good. Got it held up at the moment by the little cable ties, just taking the weight off the pipes. Looking at it, I think it's been rebuilt in the past, because you've got the motor here at the back and then the valve body, and in between is like this black silicone that's oozing out the side, which doesn't look very appealing. So I brake cleaned it off, and I've had it sat for about an hour and I can't see any drips coming from it. Now we know it hammers out, so I need to try and get the motor working to put pressure in the system. I don't want to just probe up with the motor, because that's not going to open these valves. So we've got to see if I can get my old diagnostic on it and see if I can activate the pump, I think, and then have another look at it. So let's have a go, shall we? So my diagnostic machine is a Launch X431 Pro. Really good, cheap, which is the most thing, diagnostic machine. They're not so good on Vauxhall and Ford, but because made in Japan, they're amazing on Mitsubishis, Mazdas, all the Japanese stuff. They're also good on Volkswagens as well, and Audis, which is good. So going into it, I'll see if I can get a close-up of this. I can go into the AYC, and yeah, it gives me the option there, bleed AYC or bleed ACD, active center diff. Let's get it up in the air. I'll press the button and hopefully the thing doesn't explode. Let's have a go. Right, this is where the pump explodes. Hopefully not. Let's put my torch there so I can see. Bleed AYC, let's go. Do we want to bleed engine off, ignition on? Yes. Are you sure you want to activate it? Yes. It's working. No, oh, there's something at the top. Where's that coming out of? How do you stop this? Finish. Stop. There we go. I can see, oh, that's not very good. Let me get my brake cleaner. Get the squirt in there. Oh, start again. Stop. I'll see if I can get the camera close. Shut up. Hopefully it'll turn off in a minute. I'll see if I can get the camera close on this. It looks... Let me cut for a second, wait till it stops. There we go. It looks like the casing's cracked on this piece at the back where the pipes come out. I'll see if I can get a close-up so you can actually see it hammering out the crack, which will be now. So that means, I mean, we can't get a rebuild kit because it's the casing, isn't it? Rebuild kits come with gaskets and stuff. I'll have a look and see if I can get a new one or an old one with a good casing and a rebuild kit. So let's have a go. Shh, 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 shh. And that's the pump off on the bench. You can see here, it did have a bolt in that hole at one point, and it's been wound in sideways on the skew, and it's just popped that casing, unfortunately, which is a pain. So this bracket, the pump bolts to this bolts to the body, and you can see the 2 bolt holes. It only had 1 bolt holding it in at the time. The other one's been missing a while, so it's a fault that's been there for a fair while. I'm just thinking, I wonder if I can pop the side off that. Oh yeah, and it comes straight off. Yeah, lots of corrosion in there where the crack is, so it's a fault that's been there for a fair while. I've had a look, new pumps are like 2,500, 3,000 quid, so we're going to get a good second-hand one that's probably been rebuilt already. But it's the story of this car, isn't it? I ordered the brakes ages ago. They're not here yet. Got to get a pump in, so I suppose if it was a Ford Fiesta, we'd get brakes within the hour, but it's a pretty rare car, to be honest. Stuff to do while we're waiting is I've got to do a full check over on the car, but to be fair, everything underneath is like brand new. I'll probably just go round, just make sure everything's tight. Oil and filter change, draining the oil out. It is very black, but oil has detergents in it. It cleans the engine as it lubricates. So yeah, it's done its job well. Fill it back up with some nice clean oil, and then we move on to the brakes. Now, stripping the old brakes out, there's no grease on any of the pins or anything, so I'm going to do that. The old discs, them old warp discs, come off, and then I've got some nice original Brembo discs to go back on. They are massive and weigh a ton too. And then we've got new Brembo pads going in, nice and greased, and then all 4 brakes are done. Then we're moving back onto the AYC pump. I ended up getting a second-hand pump that had a motor fault on it, just because I could use the casing and got a rebuild kit. Now, I've covered it in silicone again, this black RTV, and there is a reason why the previous person done that as well. I'll show you the one I stripped on the bench. So here's the bits we've got left. We've got our original crack casing. Now, I realised all this stuff in here in the end was chemical metal. So yeah, it's had a problem for a fair while. So when the pumps come, you've got this is the mechanical section of the pump that goes on there. You can see I had to smash this off, the second-hand one that come. We weren't using it anyway because the one on the car was good. It was only that the casing was cracked. And then we've got the electric motor. Now you can see, have a look at that. Look how much water corrosion has got into that pump. No wonder it didn't work. And where it sits onto this little bearing here. That's totally seized as well. It's just a right mess. And that's why they cover it in silicone, just to stop the water getting in. This is what you get in the repair kit. It's a little intermediate plate that goes in between the casing and the hydraulic pump. Now, if you find you rebuild this pump and you're trying to bleed it for about 3 days, it's usually because you've put this in upside down. I know somebody close to me that did that very recently, and yeah, it's not good to do. So you'll see here, you've got a fatter side at the bottom, thinner side at the top, thinner side goes up, and then behind this pump, if you pop that out, you can see it's got a fat bit there and a thin bit there, so it goes that way round and fixes in. But the pump's all built, so all I've got to do left is bolt it up and make sure it's nice and secure. Then using the diagnostics, we're going to crack off them nipples, bleed all the fluid through so there's no air in it, and then that's all our job's finished. Let's go. Lag, lag, lag. Boost. Boost. Woohoo! So if you want to hear what this sounds like and see how well it goes, because it does go chuffing well, I'll put the link to Dream Car Giveaways YouTube channel up here, so you can click on that, subscribe, and you'll get to see the future video of the road test and when it's coming on the competition site, same as the Renault 5. I think they've hacked my eBay search list or something like that, because every car I seem to be working on is one I'd love to own, and I would definitely love to own this one. If you win it, sell it me. There we go. So future videos up and coming. Still got to do part 2 of the Mark II 1600 Sport. Sent the engine off to be rebored and the headwork to be done. We've got an Audi RS4 V6 bi-turbo. Needs a bit of an engine job. I've got, when I ever get time, my Golf buggy, putting the motorbike engine in. I still got to finish that. And then last of all, we've got this. That's right, the Corsa Turbo is back from the body shop. All painted, looking nice. There's nothing better than the smell of fresh paint, so we can get smashing back on with this, getting this finished as well. So that's it for this video. Please like and subscribe and leave me a message and smash me notification buttons. It'd be appreciated. And as always, I'll see you on the next one. Ta-da!